And welcome back to another In Depth with Idaho State University Athletics. I'm Jerry Miller, and our guest today from the Idaho State University softball program, Kelsey Breer. Kelsey, we missed you playing last year. It is so good to see you. We missed everybody this last season because there wasn't one, but you missed the year before, right?
Yes, I was out with an ACL injury.
How did you suffer that injury?
I was fielding a ground ball. I was fielding a backhand, and yeah, it snapped.
Well, how's the recovery gone and the rehab?
I'm good now. Everything's back to 100%. So I'm playing no brace, no nothing. So back to full.
They often tell you that where you had the injury, you possibly could be even stronger than you were before. Do you feel totally confident?
Yes, so I definitely experienced that. I actually tore my other one in high school, and then I tore my right one in high school, my left one in college, and both times I feel like I came back stronger. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
Good. Well, let's find out a little bit about you other than your injuries. You grew up in Washington, Puyallup.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, Puyallup.
Puyallup. Okay. Tell us about your family and how you grew up.
So born and raised in Puyallup. It's just, I have one brother, he's 26. He grew up playing baseball and a couple other sports as well, but kind of runs in the family. My dad coached both of us growing up. So that's where that love of the game comes from. And my dad is a supervisor for the city of Tacoma solid waste department and coaches a 16U travel ball team for softball. My mom is a dental assistant in the area, and she also helps stage homes. So that is the four of us, yeah.
All right. What is the first sport you ever played and how old were you?
My parents put me in gymnastics when I was 2. And so, I mean, at that age, you're not really a gymnast, but I grew up as a gymnast. Did that, tried just about every sport. Soccer was pretty short-lived for me, but for most of my childhood, I played basketball and volleyball as well. Volleyball lasted almost as long as softball, but then when I tore my ACL in high school, I didn't play volleyball after that, just stuck to softball.
Of all of those sports, if you had your choice to play one and none of the others for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably volleyball.
So you're saying potentially, do you think you were good enough that you would have played college volleyball?
At least some level, I think I could have done it. Yeah, but I mean, softball still took priority, so that was definitely my strongest passion. But I think volleyball was just a lot of fun for me, so definitely enjoyed doing that as well.
I've got to know, do you remember being 2 and going to gymnastics?
No, at that age, it's like a mommy and me class. You know, it's just you're just there. I don't remember any of that.
All right. And what's your brother doing right now?
He does data analysis for a shipping company, and he lives also in Puyallup. He lives downtown in a condo that he bought about a year ago. But yeah, he also coaches baseball and some youth basketball, but just works and hangs out. I see him pretty often because he's not too far from our family.
So you said that you've been coached by your dad. When did he start coaching you and how long did he coach you?
So he coached my brother first in baseball. Oh gosh, I don't even know how many years. So I got into softball with a friend's dad first, just joined a random club team. And then I think it was after my first year that my dad kind of transitioned over. When I turned, I think 12 is when he started coaching me. And let my brother go off with some other coaching staffs and play for other teams. And he took on softball instead of baseball from then on. So he's been doing it for probably 10 plus years in the softball world now.
Well, I would say anyone who's watched you play knows you've had good coaching and to go along with the talent that you've got. Tell us about the story that brought you to Pocatello, Idaho.
So softball recruits very young. It used to be actually way worse back when I was kind of going through the recruiting process. They've put some rules in place now that kind of prevents that. But some of the schools I was sort of talking to prior to tearing my ACL, that communication kind of got cut off with that, serious injury. So I was going through rehab, and we had a recruiting coach for our team. She called me and said, "Hey, Julie Wright at Idaho State watched your recruiting video and she wants you on campus." And I was like, I don't know. I don't want to go to Idaho. Funny story, my dad, when I started the recruiting process, put a US map in front of me and told me to cross off all the states I knew I didn't want to be in, and Idaho was one of them.
I've got to ask you why.
I don't know. I had never been to Idaho. There were several states that I had never been to that I kind of ruled out of the equation early. And I don't know. I was 15 when I was doing it. And I was like, nah, don't want to go there. But of course, being injured, I was like, well, what do I have to lose, right? Like, not like I'm taking a weekend off of softball or anything. I'm already injured. So got on the phone with Coach Wright, and we clicked instantly, like, huge fan of her. So of course I said, yeah, I'll come on campus. And so I came on a visit here, and I kind of fell in love with it. I went on a couple other visits after the fact, but it was just my mom and I that came on the visit, and I was still in my brace and whatever from my surgery, but it was just kind of different. And so when I had that offer kind of on the table, it kind of changed a lot of things. And so after I visited a couple other schools, I went home and I thought about it for, I don't know, a couple months. And I told my dad, I said, I think I want to go to Idaho State. And he's like, no, you don't. He's like, why? So then I was like, I don't know. I really like Pocatello. I really like the community. Like, coaching staff is awesome. I just really like the feel of it. And so, he didn't really believe me, but he said, well, if that's what you want, then that's what you do. And so called her and I said, hey, coach, I'm ready to be a Bengal. And I don't know, I was just super excited to be coming to Pocatello and call this home. It's definitely different from my hometown, so different feel, but it's been nothing but great. And Coach Wright actually called me on my 17th birthday and said, hey, Kelsey, I'm going to Maryland.
Oh.
So of course I, was devastated. I was like, what does that mean for me? Like, I haven't signed anything because it would have been my junior year. So, but Coach Letts called me after being hired. She called me, I don't know, a couple months later and was like, hey, Kelsey, I want to, honor the offer she has for you. I want you to come here. And so then from that point on, I just communicated with her instead and continued to come here. So definitely don't regret it. No regrets there.
So recruited by Julie,
mm-hmm.
by Candy Letts, and
yes.
Now you have Coach Crystal Brown.
Yes.
And you've never played a game for Crystal. She came as the new head coach last year, but no softball this last spring.
Well, we got to play a couple preseason games. We just didn't play conference.
Right.
So I have played, we've coached the softball, and then we got to play, oh gosh, I don't know how many games, but I think we did 3 tournaments. So yeah, she's coached a couple of our games, but
that's
yeah.
Right. You did have some spring games this year. So that's a plus. You get a lot of traveling in, but how tough is it to go through that kind of a transition? You never really got to play and plug into Julie's system, but Candy, and then looking forward to your last year, changing again with another new coach.
So for me, I was confident enough in my decision to be Idaho State. There's enough other things that I love about it here that I never really wavered in my commitment to it. So, coaches come and go at any program. And so I just, like, you honor whatever they want. And I love the education I've gotten here. I love the people I meet here. The community here is awesome. So I never really doubted, any type of coaching change. I've been, it's been a roller coaster, but it is what it is, right? Like it happens to anyone, and you just make the most of it. So I'm excited for this last season with Coach Brown and especially Randy. He's awesome to have around. So he's made a big impact on me already, and so I really appreciate him.
You mentioned
here as
your
well.
education. You're actually a graduate student. So you've got one degree, and that is in what?
So I got my bachelor's in finance with a minor in math, and now I am studying a general MBA, so just business administration.
A minor in math?
Yes.
You must be cerebral, Kelsey.
I loved it in high school, but it was definitely a grind, some of the classes that it required. But I'm glad I did it.
You mentioned a couple of times already that you fell in love with Pocatello. You like so many things about the area, Idaho State University. Give me a list, maybe 2 or 3 things that you really like about the area and about the school.
So I know you can go to a lot of college towns, and of course everyone rallies around the college there, but it just feels different here. Grew up in Western Washington. My family's a huge University of Washington family. But I don't know, it's just different. It's everywhere you go. Everyone has Bengal stuff in their windows. All the businesses want to hear about your season, want to hear, people support that you're an athlete. People, and it's not just the male athletes, it's the female athletes, it's all of us. And I feel like a lot of athletes bond really well, despite what team you play for. And then even out at Miller Ranch, we got the best dog park in town, out on the berm. We'll be practicing, and there's, anywhere from 2 to 12 dogs out there at every practice we go, and people be walking along the outfield fence just asking us, when do you play again? We're so excited. We love coming to your games. And we just sit out there and, we watch the dogs play, and it's a really cool environment. We don't have a huge stadium or anything, but I know that the fans love to be out on the berm and come support us year after year. And so it's a cool feeling.
What was it like as a player and for all of you as a team to have the season jerked out from under you after you were already well into non-conference play?
I think it was just a really uncertain time. No one obviously had really experienced anything like it before. The severity of it was kind of unknown. It was, you hear so many things in the sports world and then on the news, and you don't know what to believe and what not to believe, but all you know is that your season is no more. So of course, for the people that were in their senior year, their last year, I imagine it was more emotional for them than for a lot of the rest of us, knowing that we at least have 1 or more seasons to come back and play. But it was really disappointing. I think we had a lot going for us last year. I think we were going to make a good run in the season, but I think it was also just a time to reflect and realize that there's other important things in our lives that, softball doesn't have to define everything about us. And so even going home, it was weird being home for so many months, but it, like, for me personally, it allowed for a lot of family time, and I don't know, I just kind of slowed down. Like, I still trained for softball and I still did my workouts and kept up in school, but it allowed for kind of a different phase than we're all used to. So with the bad, I think there's good. So it was disappointing, but I think there was also good to be had in it.
Well, that's a great perspective. Some of your teammates have chosen to move on, even though they could have returned. What influenced you to stick around? Because you have graduated with your bachelor's degree. Why are you back to play another season and get your MBA?
Well, so actually last spring I had started my MBA, so no part of me wanted to leave that halfway done. And not just that, but because I had torn my ACL, I was already planning on 5 years. I guess with the coronavirus, it would have potentially offered me a sixth year. Um, I won't take that, but I was already planning on five. So the decision was kind of already made for me in that perspective.
So you pretty much had graduated at the end of the fall semester.
Yeah, so I graduated December last year, started my
Yeah.
MBA this year, and so, or this last spring. Um, and so then, yeah, I just planned on coming to finish it no matter what.
You, your comment about dogs and the dog park at Miller Ranch, obviously, I think you probably like animals, but you're also a big fan of another athlete on campus.
Uh,
He
yes,
runs track and field, and I suspect uh, he has a chance this coming football season in the spring to become one of the most remarkable wide receivers ISU has ever had, and that's Tanner Connor. How long have you known Tanner?
um, almost 2 years. Um, it was in, yeah, almost 2 years ago in November. It's the first time I heard about him, and it was my roommate talking about him. Um, but yeah, we officially met about a year and a half ago.
Well, it's been fun to follow you two around, so to speak, if you will, and I know he's a big fan of yours as well. Um, as a team, what are you guys doing right now?
So last week we were able to start practices. We had an 8-hour week, so we lifted 3 times. We ran our fitness test, and then we were allowed 4 hours of softball. So for 4 of the 5 days last week, we did about an hour practice session, and we were broken up into smaller groups, kind of just talking about coach's philosophy and terminology and stuff, so that it was more of like a classroom setting. We all just kind of like took it slow. She sat there and talked a lot, which isn't a typical practice for us, but because it was just our first week with so many new girls, she kind of just did a lot of talking so that this week with our first 20-hour week, we could hit the ground running. And yesterday we had our first team practice. It was kind of impressive, actually. It went really well. I think everyone was really satisfied after. But so starting this week, we're in our 20-hour weeks, so we can have full team practices every day and continue to lift 3 times a week. And we incorporate some conditioning at practice. But yeah, it's kind of what we're doing right now.
Why are you excited about the upcoming season?
Well, I mean, I haven't played a full season in 3 years. That's definitely a big thing. And I just think that the group we have is really special. We're a pretty young team. We have, I guess, with our, I think, 7 sophomores from last year that returned that are, can technically call themselves freshmen in softball. That leaves us about 15 freshmen, technically. But we have 8 ones this year, and they're awesome. Like, I think that they're picking up on a lot of what we do quickly, and the culture of the team is changing. It's moving in the right direction, and I think that's what Coach Brown is really trying to implement, and I respect that a lot. Trying to keep our priorities straight and hold us accountable for our actions, and I'm just excited because it's a really good group of girls. It's different than any other season before, and I've loved teams in the past, but it definitely just feels different. A lot of good people that you're surrounded with.
Well, we can't wait to see all of you out there playing again in the spring at Miller Ranch. And I suspect there are a ton of berm bums who want to get back and watch you guys throw and hit the ball and run the bases and score a lot of runs. As we wrap this up, I just have to tell you that as I've watched you on campus the last couple of years, one of the things that's been really fun for me to watch has been your interaction, I call her Princess, with Steve Shack's youngest daughter. At basketball games or wherever, you'll show up, and if Steve has his girls there, you and that little angel are just almost seem to be hooked at the waist.
Yeah, Gracie Shack is probably my favorite person in Pocatello. I love that whole family. That I call them my Pocatello family. My parents and family back home know all about them. I love to go visit them. They've been nothing but great, nothing but inviting to me, and super supportive. Someone the whole family that I can talk to. And I have younger cousins, and Gracie, I don't know, from the moment I met her, I just absolutely adore her. And I think she just turned 6 last week, and it's crazy, but yeah, I actually miss a lot of the fall games and other sports being in season, seeing that family around more. And those girls are awesome. I know that they really enjoy the games, the students really enjoy the games, but it's definitely a highlight anytime I get to see her.
Well, it's been fun to watch you and Gracie interact together. I know she thinks the world of you, and it's fun to watch her with you. She's always looking up at you, and I know that she thinks probably you're one of the greatest people to walk on the face of the earth, and I'm sure for good reason. Kelsey, it's been great talking with you. I'm going to give you a chance to wrap this up by just saying something to Bengal fans out there about the situation we're in and why they should be positive about what's to come.
Well, I think everyone should be positive because our athletes are on campus, we're working, and we're ready to perform when the opportunity presents itself. So we're being as safe as we can and following guidelines, but I know we're getting after it, and I think that that's every sport on campus right now. So I think there's a lot of exciting things to come this spring season as long as things go as planned, I guess.
Well, Kelsey Breer, shortstop for Idaho State University. She started in the infield as soon as she hit the program as a freshman, and we're excited to watch you play again. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. That's another ISU In Depth. I'm Jerry Miller.